Okay, with that, let's call this meeting to order. Can you join me with the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Can we have a roll call?
Director Cross,
Here. Whoa.
Director Hubbard,
There we go. Present.
Director Womack, Vice President Sesenia,
Here.
President Fourcroy.
I'm here. Okay, thank you. We have, well, an announcement of all of our closed session items. We have conference with real property negotiator in regards to Sunnyside School, public employee appointment with regarding general manager, conference with labor negotiator. I guess our council is going to give us an update and discussion about labor negotiations. With that, I'll open it for public comment.
If you're online, raise your hand, and if you're in the boardroom, come to the podium. There is no public comment online.
Okay, none in the boardroom. With that, we're going to adjourn to closed session. We'll reconvene at 6 o'clock. For the record. Okay, thank you for being here. Welcome. We're going to adjourn back or reconvene back to open session. We had some closed session items. The report out of closed session is that there are no reportable actions. And with that, we can start on our agenda with our public.
We don't have to say we're continuing that closed session until next.
Okay. That's at the very end. Thank you for the reminder. To our public safety reports, we're going to start with our fire department report with Chief Lorenzo.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, everyone here in attendance, and especially for all my counterparts being here to show their support. I appreciate it. Battalion Chief Josh Lorenzo, and I'm here to give the board report. Emergency activities, Station 15 South Bay responded to 96 calls from March 1st to March 23rd, 2026. This included 73 medical aids, 4 traffic collisions, 1 traffic collision with extrication, 9 public assist, 2 hazardous conditions, 1 commercial fire alarm, 1 debris fire, 1 residential structure fire, 4 vehicle accidents, 1 wildland fire, and out of those, 7 were false alarms. Administratively, 10 prospective Station 15 South Bay Reserve firefighter candidates continued completing the steps needed to become the employees for the Osos Community Service District. In March, all candidates successfully completed their required shadow shifts and were released to full duty on Company 15 Reserve firefighter. Reserve firefighter Parker Burr was recognized for his service at the Firefighters Recognition Dinner hosted by the Slow Masons on March 17, 2026. Parker has been a dedicated member of Company 15 for over 10 years. We truly appreciate his commitment and contributions to the community. Reserve firefighter Dalen Rigetti resigned after 10 months of service to the community of Los Osos at Station 15. He accepted a position with Anaheim Fire Department. We thank him for his service and his time and wish him the best in his new position. The staff began budget preparation process for the fiscal year 2026-2027. Time has been spent ensuring accuracy and accounting for known and projected expenditures to provide a solid foundation for the next fiscal year. Special programs and projects. Station 15 South Bay participated in a battalion-wide training with Cambria Station 10 and Estero Bay Station 16 on auto extrication to reinforce and enhance response capabilities. This training was focused on improving crew cohesion, updating techniques, and practicing with new equipment in real-world scenarios. Through the continuous training, personnel were able to increase on-scene proficiency and apply the adapted skills and maintain high level of service to the community. On March 14th, 8,805 feet of fire hose at Station 15 South Bay received annual testing and maintenance, which included the service pressure testing, inspecting for defects, lubricating couplings, and connection points. To ensure all the hose are in proper condition, 150 feet of those did not pass and was removed from service. On March 21st, 2026, Station 15 met with the residents of Daisy Hill Estates to provide information about emergency preparedness within their community and answer any questions from the attendees. And finally, on April 6th, Station 15 staff will begin conducting the first round of annual fire hazard abatement inspections. Properties that do not pass the initial inspection will receive a notice by mail with details regarding the abatement standards and deadlines for inspections. And I thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Could you tell us a little bit about how the recruitment process went with reserves? It's my understanding that it's more streamlined with working with Alan Hancock, because I know in the past it's been pretty difficult, and it sounded like it was more successful this year. Could you highlight some of that for us?
Yes, in the past, when they did that, what was that, Sam, 6 months ago? Yeah, 6 months ago when they initially did the announcement on that, we did only receive about 6. And then now that we had Christine Rodriguez there, our analyst 1, she was able to get that out to multiple platforms and that she sent that to. And yes, we were working with Alan Hancock. Actually, Captain Hart's here today that worked with Alan Hancock extensively to help us provide information out then to the academy. And we did get quite a bit of response. And this time when the application process went out, we received, I think, 33 applicants.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's great. That sounds like it's going better than it has in the past. So
Yes, and that was surprisingly to us, like from the 6 to 33, it's quite a bit of difference. So I think with help with Christian, that went well.
Yeah, and that's just such a critical part of this model right now. You know, as we've done this standard of cover survey, and then looking at how we can get to possibly that 4.0 eventually, but we really need that reserve program to be robust right now. So it's good.
And in attendance with us today is, what do you got, 6 over there? We do have 6 of our reserve firefighters here supporting today.
So thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you very much.
I do have one quick question. Item 3 on the administration report highlighted a concern that I've had for a while. CAL FIRE at one point had a bit of an employee retention issue, and Rigetti's resignation after only 10 months of service with Los Osos at Station 15 brings up the question, how do we keep firefighters?
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question, I believe, but
I don't mean it to be.
Being that it is a reserve firefighter program that we have, they're not full time. So I think a lot of these, depending on where they live, you know, what's their situation and what their goals are to be. I think one of the things when I worked with Captain McElhaney is when we were going through the application process in this last one, we really tried to focus on like who's from the community. But with that said, you know, we may have 5 that applied, but out of those 5, they weren't turnkey employees for us to immediately hire.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for us, you know, what made it a lot easier on my staff to put them through what I was saying earlier about, you know, get them on the floor and ready to go is having that Firefighter 1 Academy and everything else that it takes for them to be turnkey for us to make them immediately available to be that 4th person on our equipment. But as far as keeping them, they have goals of their own, and being a full-time firefighter is something they probably have, you know, aspirations of.
So like
That
once we switch to 4.0, it'd probably do a lot to increase that retention.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, that's like the whole conversation, right? Is that what we found in that standard of cover survey and looking through some strategic planning is that is where we want to end up. Obviously, we have to pay for that, so it's going to take time and potentially several years to get to that point. But that is the goal, and it has been since the inception of this partnership. So, okay, any other questions? We have. Well, you guys can turn that up.
But yours is not coming through as clear.
Okay, they told me not to, but now I will. They said it's a new one, you don't have to move. But yeah, we will have public comment for each agenda item, which everybody can go to the podium. So that's how it's gonna work. But yeah, thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
It's too loud. Okay, with that, Sheriff Department report. I know we had a written one. Do we have anybody from the sheriff's?
Yes, sir. Commander Boss here.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Looking at our call statistics for uh oh, looking at very old call statistics. Sorry about it, if you can give me just a sec. All right, so looking at our call statistics for the month of March, we had a total of 473 calls for service, down from up from 432. Of note were 88 enforcement stops and 52 preventative patrol activities. I think a big component in that increase is the number of trainee deputies that we have assigned to the station. Currently, we have 4 trainee deputies in their mid to later phases of training, which they're expected to increase their preventative patrol activities. As preventative patrol for law enforcement is a component of community policing and making sure that vehicles are adhering to the vehicle code and driving in a safe manner. So with that, we're going to be having a rotation of our trainees. So we will be losing a couple of trainees. However, in the next week and a half, we will have another trainee who recently graduated from the Ventura Law Enforcement Academy that will be starting at the station here in Los Osos. That is what I have, unless anybody else has anything for me.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and highway patrol is quarterly, is that now?
Yes.
Okay,
Hey, can you guys hear me?
yeah,
Yeah, wonderful. I appreciate that. I've been trying to work through some technical difficulties that we ended up having, so I'm glad I was able to get through on this. For the month of January, we had one hit and run. We had a hit and run DUITC. We had 2 property damage, traffic collisions, and then 1 property damage crash involving a DUI, and then 1 minor injury, traffic collision as well. In February, we had 5 property damage collisions, so no DUIs or hit and runs related. For the month of March, we had 3 property damage crashes, 1 hit and run, and then 1 other crash that probably garnered a little bit of media attention as a major injury crash on LVR and right by Turi. That involved a DUI with injury. We were able to, work with the DA's office and, use some other techniques that we have to get the driver behind the wheel and working to hopefully get a successful prosecution on that individual. Um, Working with county roads, we meet with them probably about every quarter or so to talk with them at LVR and 9th and 10th Street. They're going to be doing some signal modifications. We learned that people were out in that intersection against the red light when they would turn red from green. So eventually they're going to put a green arrow there coming up. I also want to remind everybody that April is Distracted Driver Awareness Month, and the 6th through the 13th, we'll have more enforcement people out there looking for distracted driving. I also want to extend an opportunity if people want to reach out to our area office. We have a radar trailer that displays speeds. It doesn't capture, speeds and pictures and send people tickets, but it is a useful tool that we are able to take to different neighborhoods. And if people feel people are speeding through their neighborhoods, they could reach out to our office and we can get that out there.
okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay, none. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any public comments for our public safety reports?
If you're online, raise your hand, and in the boardroom, come to the podium. There are none online.
Okay, great. All right, with that, we're going to get into our general action item, which is to look at our fire protection and EMS. And I'm going to start that out by thanking, acknowledging the staff of Station 15 for their service to this community. I think that it's important that we recognize that Station 15 has been staffed by CAL FIRE since the original contract was put in place in around, I think, 2004, so close to 22 years. And this community has received a very high level of service. We taxed ourselves to do it. And what that means is that we have two paramedics on call at all times. And that is what Los Osos receives. Station 15 and the staff there has done a really great job. I don't know.
Just move closer.
We have a new PA system in anyways. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So a general acknowledgement and thanking of the staff of Station 15 is what I said. So with that, I wanted to talk a little bit of the background because that's important. I mean, a lot of you are here because of social media. I guess I should just start out by saying that we are not getting rid of Station 15, quite the opposite. We have been putting plans in place, strategic plans to improve on Station 15 and improve on the level of service for Los Osos. That's bottom line. What we're talking about tonight is how to best do that. And from a management standpoint, the contract that we've had in place has worked really well until about 2018. We've had some managerial, like from a high level management standpoint, there's been some misses from the district, from the county, because we're not actually contracted with CAL FIRE. We're contracted with the county fire. And these different levels of bureaucracy, there were some misses, and it resulted in Los Osos overpaying. That money's since been recouped. But we're looking at how we can best serve this community. And one of those ways we looked at potentially two different options to do that. Back last year, we talked about it. And one was directly contracting with CAL FIRE, and the other was looking at Morro Bay. Either way, what we need to get out of is the county fire system. That is what we're aiming to do. That level, extra level in between us and our immediate fire service is not beneficial. And to me, the exciting news here is that we have an executable contract in front of us tonight to maintain Station 15 as is, the same level of service we get today that we can afford. And it's here and waiting for us to directly contract with CAL FIRE. There's a lot of media coverage and a staff report that are focusing on some hypothetical costs associated with getting to that 4.0 staffing, which is imperative that we get there. Unfortunately, we can't afford that right now. That's not even an option. So that analysis is important. I'm glad that we did that, and I thank both CAL FIRE staff and Morro Bay staff and our staff for going through that process. But I think the big story tonight is the win. The win is a potential contract directly with CAL FIRE, saving on administrative fees from the county and saving this district money. So that's my long preamble, but I want to hand that over to GM Munns. He has a staff report to go through, and we'll have a discussion.
Thank you, Matthew. And I appreciate your comments because I had similar comments about the importance of Station 15 to the community, the relationship we've had with the fire crews at Station 15. This is definitely has nothing to do with the discussion, the performance at Station 15. And that's never been in question. I mean, I really would personally like to thank all that have served us for the past 22 years, CAL FIRE employees that have served us the last 22 years. As Matthew mentioned, we're here because of a series of events which date back to really actually 2017. And it was an interesting process because there was a breakdown in the accounting systems at CAL FIRE, the interface with county administration that supposedly was administering the contract, and then some oversight by the district previous general managers that really didn't pay attention to the true-up costs, which means at the end of each fiscal year, there are cost savings typically associated with the contract, and those are then refunded back to the district. That didn't happen for 3 years, and the result was a $1.4 million overpayment by the district to county fire. But it was the errors that were occurring in the CAL FIRE administration in their accounting for costs that were attributed to our service. Also, we've had a lot of turnover at CAL FIRE. I've been here since 2019. We've gone through 3 unit chiefs at the station. We've gone through 3 battalion chiefs. We've had vacancy in the office down there, which our staff here have had to cover. And so there's been, in that turnover, it's led to some confusion on service. Who are we supposed to go to if we have questions about our service? But I have to say it's gotten much better recently. Chief Owens has really grown into the position. He understands better the operations and the contractual relationship that the CSD has with the county CAL FIRE. Rob Jenkins, Chief Jenkins, was just recently promoted to an assistant chief in the administration role, which is a huge step in the right direction. He probably understands at least our contracting process and what we need and what CAL FIRE can provide us. So that's been a big step. And then we've had a new battalion chief, Chief Lorenzo, and a new division chief, Chief Brandt, who are also more engaged than what I've seen in the last 7 years since I've been here. So there is improvement. One thing I do want to emphasize and make absolutely clear that the CSD approached the city of Morro Bay on a potential partnership. And this was based on my experience, which I was just trying to explain. And it was solely on my recommendation to the board that we explore this. And the CSD board did approve a letter of interest to Morro Bay in 2025. I want to say Morro Bay City Council created an ad hoc committee, and Chief McCrane over there did a lot of work to put together a proposal that was forwarded to us, which was very professional and detailed in manner, just as we requested. So I want to thank both the City Council and Chief McCrane for their thoughtful considerations that the CSD requested. And I want to add that if there's any negative criticism for the path that the CSD is on, it should be directed at me. I'm the instigator of this, and not Morro Bay Fire Department or their City Council. There has been a lot of chatter on social media. The big one was the Station 15 would close, so we've kind of covered that. So with that, I think there's probably going to be a lot more questions, but we can move into the presentation. This all started, this particular part of the district's process started back in May 2025 when we were seeing escalating costs. And we're thinking of 4 different, I presented 4 different alternatives that we could move forward with. One was continue with our county contract, which wasn't really an option, but I had to say it or put it out there. Direct contract with CAL FIRE, looking for a suitable partner, and the closest partner would have been the city of Morro Bay. And the nuclear option, returning our fire service back over to the county, which has happened like down in Oceana CSD. Again, that isn't really an option to this board or me as staff. At the September 25th meeting, we discussed the alternatives, and we did narrow it down to direct contract with CAL FIRE in the city of Morro Bay. Let's see, come on. There we go. So following that direction, I engaged with both agencies. CAL FIRE submitted 2 contract options with 3-year terms, and as Matthew mentioned, there are different staffing models, the 3 regular employees plus the reserve, which is our current model, and that 4-0, we call it staffing, where it's 4 regular employees on 24 hours so a day, 7 days a week. And also, City of Morro Bay provided a draft proposal, including scope of services, personnel costs, again, with that 4-0 staffing, and a sample operational budget. We went through what our current staffing is, so I'm just going to skip over this, but I did want to say that this model was working well till right around COVID time. It was in decline, but COVID really kind of pushed it over the edge. And that, we were finding fewer qualified applicants and substantial turnover. This latest recruitment is very encouraging, and really do appreciate the effort by all that were involved in that. The results, though, of this is reduced staffing reliability, which we've talked about, potential safety concerns mainly for the firefighting crew, paramedic firefighting crew, in the case of a fire or other type of emergency, and the impacts to emergency responsive effectiveness if we don't have that fourth seat filled by a reserve and we have 3 people on duty, we're just they aren't able to do what they need to do and be as effective. So like Matthew said, this has been our long-term plan and goal, but financial constraints have delayed implementation because the cost, not only with CAL FIRE, which I mentioned, but across the fire service, fire trucks went from 800,000 or 900,000 to over a million, like 1.2 million in just a few years. And so we're just seeing these dramatic increased costs that we aren't able to keep up with our current revenue sources. So putting a comparison together of the proposals was a little interesting just because they are structured differently. Both agencies, Millers, are based on a higher level of staffing than
Hey,
we currently
Ron,
provide.
can we add one thing here real quick?
Mhm.
Is that comparison, you're comparing a 4.0 contract to the 4.0 proposal, and you're comparing those.
Correct.
That's what we're looking at
Right.
as this methodology to see what basically what
4.0
that
looks like. And I do have a slide on what the cost would be for the 3 plus reserve in here, because that's in the report as well.
Okay.
Good. And so I focused in on personnel costs since that was really the primary thing that is the highest cost component of any contract is the expense for personnel. Just for information, our operational budget, this means everything that the district currently pays for, which is all the equipment, all the building maintenance, everything associated with the fire station is around $690,000 a year. But this does not include dispatch services. I wanted to add that because coming up, the district will have to start paying those costs, which are fairly significant, but I'll get into that in just a moment. For CAL FIRE, the 4 regular employees you can see on this slide is 3.8 million. I know it's a little small maybe for the people in the room. This includes benefits. There is an admin fee that's also included in there. And then they included a dispatcher salary, which is a little bit different from the Morro Bay proposal. This is actually a cost savings for this type of service, but I subtracted it out. So we were looking at, and you'll see in the future comparison slide, how that's brought back into the equation. So their total personnel costs are that's $3.75 million. Then I have that, the operational costs, I didn't really want to get into it because there will be costs that have typically been in what they call the Schedule A contract with the county fire and CAL FIRE that we pay that 10.77% on that we're going to take out of that contract and put into that operational budget. I showed you that 690,000. So that'll save us some money down the road on actual contract costs. So their total cost for their service is that 3.85 million way down at the bottom of the screen there. Now I'm calling it the interim contract proposal because our hope is within 2 to 3 years to move to the 4.0 staffing. And I appreciate CAL FIRE providing this. This is for the 3 regular employees and would include in the operational cost includes the reserve program. So the cost for that is just a bit over about 3.1, just under 3.1 million dollars, but that does include dispatch costs that about 94,000. So the actual personnel, paramedic personnel costs are under $3 million. And then there is an added cost for uniforms and some minor vehicle operational cost of about $30,000. So this is something that when we get to the end of the presentation is what Matthew alluded to as the contract that is most reasonable for us to enter into at this point in time.
Well, more than that, this is the only contract in front of us, period. The 4.0 staffing level is not possible right now. And so this is what is in front of us tonight. And this is a major, major win. As far as getting out from under the county model, going direct, and so I'm hoping that you have some information about those benefits, because that change right there is what we've been aiming towards since September.
Just for everyone's information, under the county contract, we paid not only a CAL FIRE overhead fee or admin fee, we paid a fairly substantial admin fee to the county to the tune of around $250,000+ a year. So that's what the main savings is getting out from under that admin fee from the county.
Well, and just that level of like that extra level of bureaucracy between this board and the general manager and our fire department. Like
Correct.
just getting that out of there is going to be just functionally much better.
Correct. What's been on the table, and talked about in our discussions with CAL FIRE is that, we need our mutual aid agreements to be updated. My understanding, CAL FIRE and others have been working on those updated mutual aid agreements. We've also been working on an updated operational plan, and this is something we've been working with Chief Jenkins and his team on, that will clarify the roles and responsibilities between the CSD and CAL FIRE. The 2004 agreement had a lot of gray areas in it and a few handshake agreements that have been honored over these years. And it's time to make it a little more black and white with flexibility, but have it spelled out more specifically. So in the future, there are no disagreements on what's the roles and responsibility and who pays for what. The current SLO County Fire Agreement has provisions that in exchange for Station 15 response to Montana de Oro, the district receives the 24/7 chief coverage, initial attack and greater alarm services, law enforcement response, public information office, fire defense planning, and Station 15 designated as a must-cover station. Moving on to the City of Morro Bay proposal.
Before you move on, could you clarify what designating Station 15 as a must-cover station is exactly?
The best example is if there's an emergency in Montana de Oro, our units, both units move out to the park, and that CAL FIRE must move backup units into Los Osos to cover any emergency. The only drawback is we don't get advanced life support, paramedics. We only get basic life support, which are EMT services. But that's the trade-off there.
Thank you for that.
Like I mentioned previously, the city did provide a high-level proposal with detailed cost breakdowns for staffing, and they actually put together a fairly good representative operational cost budget as well. Similar to the CAL FIRE proposal, each proposal budgeted the personnel at the highest salary, at the highest step, which is the highest salary then. And this is to be very conservative because, CAL FIRE's is a cost not to exceed. And so they want to make sure they're estimating rather than underestimating when it comes to the end of the year. Similarly, that's what Morro Bay did. Salaries at the highest steps. All positions did include paramedic certification, which comes with a cost. Retirement was calculated at PERS Tier 1, which is the highest cost. Most more recent hires are under a different retirement system than the Tier 1. So again, that adds a cost. And it does include the PERS unfunded accrued liability cost on an annual basis. And this is something that was circulating out in social media, that this was going to be something, if we contracted with Morro Bay, this would be a continued cost that we'd incur even if we terminated our contract. I did check with Morro Bay, and that isn't the case, that we will be prepaying monthly or annually for pension liabilities, and that at the end of a contract, if it ended, those are still city employees and not responsibility of Los Osos. I did want to make that clarification. It does have implications for implementation. It requires hiring 12 new personnel. That's how many people it takes to have that level of service we talked about, that 4 people on 24/7. So that's, you need 3 employees for each regular position. It would take an estimated 6-month transition period, and that 6 month would include recruitment, training, and any equipment like personal protection equipment that would need to be purchased. And that comes with a cost as well. So therefore, regular employees are at about 3.7 million, about the same. That includes the benefits. Their admin fee is a little bit lower, but that also has the unaccrued pension liability built in. So that's a bump of that showed on that last slide of a little over 400,000. Dispatch for them is paid, we would be paying per call. And so that's an estimation of about 150,000, where with CAL FIRE, we're paying for part of a position for that same service, and that's about 94,000. So their total proposal for comparison for this model is 3.1 million or $3.82 million. So putting this all together, moral-based personnel estimation is just slightly lower. Both estimates are based on the highest step of salary range for each employee classification. It wasn't clear on what level retirement benefit was calculated for CAL FIRE. So that was a hard one to put in the comparison. Since Morro Bay will have to hire 12 new positions, there were added costs and for hiring, training, and equipment purchases, as I indicated. So if we're going to put them side by side, I'd just jump down to the total personnel. You've got 3.75 million versus 3.77 million. So you're extremely close in personnel costs. When you add in dispatch, your annual totals are very close as well. It's only a little over $26,000 apart. So what this is showing is gives us as an organization what the cost will be. We've got 2 quality proposals that kind of at the end of the day are so close. This is what we'll have to strive for, as Matthew said. But it was because Morro Bay doesn't do a reserve program, to go to contract with them would be the jump to this $3.8 million at this point. Just summary of some of the key differences. Contract term, CAL FIRE is a 3-year with 3.5% increase between the years. City of Morro Bay requested 15. They wanted some stability for if they're hiring new employees to have a longer term contract, but that was negotiable. Year 1 cost, very close. Staffing existing workforce for CAL FIRE, City of Morro Bay requires new hires. Startup costs are minimal for CAL FIRE, significant for Morro Bay. Chief coverage, immediate and local. City of Morro Bay, it's limited after hours. Though I have to say, our battalion chief is for the North Coast. That doesn't mean they're always in Los Osos. They could be traveling as far north as Morro Bay or as far south as Avila Beach and as far east as around Atascadero. So it's not like they're here 24/7, the battalion chief. Implementation time, immediate. City of Morro Bay, approximately 6 months. And so during that, if we were to do this at a future date, we'd have an overlap of cost with the existing contract and the future contract.
Which would be a lot of money, right? Millions.
So options to consider. Yeah, and this, we've talked about this now, and, based on both the proposal, the district cannot afford the 4-employee model until the special fire tax is passed. So, and this is the one that Matthew was talking about, enter into the agreement using the current staffing model with 3 regular employees and reserve firefighters. The pros: immediate implementation, lower disruption, and I got a misspelling there. It allows time to complete the emergency services strategic plan, which is needed to calculate what the future fire tax might be. Cons: does not resolve our staffing reliability issues. We could continue the discussions with Morro Bay during this interim period to see if there's a long-term opportunity that would be mutually beneficial for both the city and the district. The pros are slightly lower projected personnel cost and potential for a long-term solution, more than a 3-year contract. But their cons are definitely a required transition period and startup costs. The district could use this interim period to fine-tune the cost for the 4-person level of service with CAL FIRE. They did provide a very detailed actual contract, but we could see if there's anything else in there that we could negotiate. Pros are the consistency in the delivery service and the potential for long-term solution. Cons are slightly higher cost, and there is less certainty of the cost increase at the end of the 3-year term. The 3.5% I feel is low based on what I hear for like costs across fire service. It's more like in the 5% or even more range. So there's some uncertainty, I guess is what I'm saying, on where that contract cost could go after the 3-year period. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. We've talked about a lot of things, and if there's any questions, I will do my best to answer those.
Thanks, Ron. I think one, back to the contract the CAL FIRE direct contract with the 3.0 staffing with reserves as we requested. There's a couple of pieces that I wanted to highlight in there that we didn't touch on. One was that we pulled out an operational plan out of the contract, right? So how that is going to include the response, how things get responded to, our metrics that we got from the standard to cover as far as response times, staffing, et cetera. And that's a real benefit because we're able to review that annually or biannually with the fire department and make changes as we go without having to redo a whole contract to do that. So I think that was one of the things I wanted to highlight. The other piece I wanted to just highlight about was, I've been doing a lot of learning about, why did the district get in this in the first place? What was the benefit? And I keep coming back to, it's a great way for a small community to leverage itself. So normally we don't have really big incidents here, but when we do, we have that and all of that coming here. And we want that. When we had the Cabrillo Basin, for instance, the Cabrillo Basin incident, and we had flooding on Petro Road, we had multiple chiefs on site. We had crews not from Station 15 show up, start sandbagging things. The response was, I was there. It was swift and it was impressive and it was super helpful. And we never got a bill for that. That's part of being with CAL FIRE. And to me, that's part of that leverage and part of, I think the firefighters would call it a layered response in that lingo. But to me, it's like we have a small group here, but when we really need stuff, we have a much bigger force behind it. So those are some of my thoughts on that. I'll open this discussion for the board. Does anybody have any questions, comments for Ron?
Twice, you referred to, I think, both options 2 and 3, interim period to study each proposal more detail. What is that interim period until the existing contract expires? Is that what you mean? And how long is that? And Is a typical CAL FIRE contract 3 years? Does it ever vary?
Great questions. I refer to the interim period is if we execute the 3-0 plus reserve contract, it's 3 years.
Okay, so that's the
And
interim.
that gives us time to position ourselves for the special fire tax increase.
Mhm.
The next election cycle is 2028. And that'll allow us to be well prepared with a lot of information that'll be needed for the community to understand what we're asking for. What was your final question?
The 3 years, is that standard or?
Yeah, I believe so, because I had asked for a 5, and I believe since we're direct contracting with CAL FIRE, they only offer 3.
Too hard to anticipate the price of fuel 5 years out and other things. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else on the board?
I have a question that a member of the public asked me before the meeting began, and I said I would ask what I ask. I'm asking it now. Assuming we go to Morro Bay, which is not decided yet, what does happen to the firefighters that are currently working for our district, with our district?
That's they're CAL FIRE employees, and you'd have to assume that they would have to transfer. I know we see a lot of movement in our own fire station of people transferring around, so that would be something that CAL FIRE would have to do. I'm sure they would be offered employment for the city of Morro Bay because they'll be out recruiting. I can't say that for certain, but that would be a possibility.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, when I was talking to the people, if we do go with Morro Bay, I just want to clarify, what happens to Station 13 at 415?
The station would remain as is. The only difference would be instead of CAL FIRE employees operating it, it would be Morro Bay City employees.
Thank you very much. I just want to comment one more time that it's cool and exciting to see just how proud of Station 15 and our fire service that the community has of Los Osos. It's something I'm very proud of Los Osos as well. So I'm glad that we are all on the same page on that. So thank you.
Well, Tom, I think you're hitting on a really good point is the staff and the firefighters that we have at Station 15, which, I said before, they're doing a great job. But I mean, by and large, like a lot of people in San Luis County, they really worked hard to get here in this unit. By and large, a lot of what makes our community really, to me, really beautiful is most people worked hard and they want to be here. They're opting in. It's not something you just fall into. And firefighters have to make a lot of jumps and do a lot of sacrifice to get to where they want to be. And oftentimes to get up that next step, they have to kind of move laterally. So it seems like there's probably a lot of movement within the unit, but people in the unit is the county, right? Movement within the unit, but in general, it's people that have ties here to the Central Coast and they want to be here. The other piece that I found, talking with different folks is about, in that step to go become a medic and become a firefighter, because we have one of the biggest medic groups here in Los Osos. They have to go work in other places first. And we get medics that have experience in places that are dealing with things that we don't even think about here in Riverside County, the I-5 corridor. I mean, they are seeing things in their level of handling such big situations and bringing that experience back to a small town, I find incredible. So I wanted to point that out also.
So we currently own fire station and equipment.
Correct.
What would happen if we go with Morro Bay? Does that stay the same?
It stays the same. Everything stays the same.
Okay.
Staffing.
So we're responsible for maintenance and upkeep, all equipment station. Okay.
I mean, it seems like we have everything we need to budget for a 4.0 staffing model in a few years. I mean, we have two, we have a contract and a proposal, but they're close numbers. I mean, we know basically what that lift is. And to me, that's the next piece. We know that we have major improvements we need to make at Station 15. And the 4.0 model is the next step. So I'm glad that we have this information because it's invaluable to know that, hey, we have really good numbers to go plan this out, but that plan is a couple of years away for us.
And I do want to say, again, the people that are here tonight, that people are engaged. And the more people understand the financial situation, that, this is like the most important service that we provide. Water is very important as well, but this is maybe the second most important, because without water, you can't fight a fire. So we want the community to understand how important our decisions are, this board's decisions are, and spread the word and make sure people understand the circumstances and not just what's on social media.
Okay, any other comments on the board? I'm going to open this for public comment. So what you do, if you want to make a public comment, you come to the podium, you get 3 minutes. There's a green, yellow, and red light means you're out of time.
If you're online, raise your hand and we will take public comment after in the boardroom comment.
Yeah. And as you start, please make sure that you state your name for the record for us.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you also for all the services you've done, and I wish you a really good retirement coming up.
Thank you.
We have a wonderful group with CAL FIRE, and my name's Patrick McGibney, and I'm the chair for the Los Osos Sustainability Group. If you're not aware what the Sustainability Group is, we're a water advocacy group that has been in operation for over 15 years, advocating for our water supply in Los Osos Baywood. And Ron, thank you for bringing the issue up that we do need water to fight a fire. Unfortunately, if we have a fire in this area, in our community, anything like maybe the fire down in LA that happened last year, we know some of those fire hydrants went dry because they didn't have the water. We are in overdraft on our basin. The county doesn't like to tell us that. They think that we have a good water basin and it's improving. But if you look at the director's report of the BMC that comes out every month, supposedly, the Cal Water District or Cal State Water Resource, the main water district or the state that oversees the 517 water basins that aren't adjudicated in the state, every month they tell us that we are in critical overdraft. Not just in overdraft, but in critical overdraft. That's an issue that this board has not addressed. We can't fight a fire unless we have water, and we do not have the water in our basin to do a big fire. So that is an issue I think that you need to be addressing, and we need to talk about it as a community and what we're going to do. We have a wonderful group behind me here that fights our fires, that does our service, but we don't have the ability to fight a big fire. So please put that on the agenda in the future, and let's talk about it as a community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Whoa. Short person alert. Hi, I'm Charlotte. I live in Baywood, and I really appreciate, Ron, that you put together 2 proposals for us to compare to each other, and that they're both similar. But as a finance professional, this overlap of 6 months is probably not included in that, which is like $1.8 million if we move to City of Morro Bay. And I just wanted to point that out because that's a huge increase. I also am the person who asked the question about what would happen to the CAL FIRE or the members of our Los Osos Fire Department if the City of Morro Bay took over. And, for me, I would not want to oust anybody who's doing a good job in our community. And the fact that we were entrusting Morro Bay to hire them that's not comforting for me unless they're like, we guarantee we're going to hire them. You know what I mean? So I just really appreciate what everybody's doing here to support the fire department. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, board, staff, community, and local 2881 firefighters. I'm Paul Province. You probably remember me from my day job. I served you for 5 years here in the community, and I still continue to serve you in this community in my day job capacity. But today, I rise as the San Luis Obispo chapter director of Local 2881, the union that proudly serves our professional firefighters and paramedics that serve you at Station 15. I had something prepared, but that's not really my style. So I was reading, I was like, this is junk. This is emotional, okay? 20 years is how long I've been married. Right about the time that this contract was going down was about the time I was getting married. And my wife and I, occasionally we fight about money. And we're having a little bit of discussion about money. I'm not going to call it a fight, but we're having a discussion about money. But at the end of the day, we still love each other. Your firefighters, myself, we love you. We love serving your community. We love bleeding for you. We love getting hurt for you. We love fighting your fires. We love picking you up. We love being our best on your worst day. And we'll continue to serve you. Please approve our contract. Please stay with us. Somebody asked what happens to us if you don't contract with us. We get displaced. The places that we've fought hard to get to and serve your community, we have to go somewhere else and make a new home. That's what happens. So there's a lot of things in the staff report, and there's a lot of discussion to still be had. Chief Jenkins is an expert at this stuff. I strongly urge you, if you have questions, to talk to him because he can answer those questions. I'm going to leave it at that. We love you guys, and we want to stay here, and we want to continue to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jeff Edwards, and I urge this board to go with CAL FIRE and the 3-year contract that you have before you. There has been a success in removing the county from the contract, but that's kind of old news. It's been around for a while. There are outstanding questions. The 4.0 staffing's come up, and what I don't understand is why that can't be pursued now, why the special fire tax can't be pursued now. My belief is that the reason is that this board is pursuing parks and recreation instead of fire protection, and I find that objectionable. Then there's the condition of our obsolete Fire Station 15 that you're so proud of. It's a great station, only the problem is it's obsolete. It's a problem for the firefighters that stay there. Fumes come into their dormitory rooms. That station needs to be rebuilt. So with regard to the special fire tax, that really should be on the June ballot, right next to the Parks and Rec tax, but you chose not to do that. So what I encourage you to do ASAP is to get a special fire tax increase on the ballot. I don't know why it can't go on in November of this year. That will increase the staffing to 4.0 and provide the funding for a new fire station. You have reserves of an approximate amount of $5 million for a new station. If you added $2 million to that, you could get that brand new station instead of your 4th remodel on the obsolete Station 15. So it appears the public's not clear on your priorities. Are you clear on your priorities? I think not. Instead of focusing on your priorities, number 1, fire, you've chosen to delve into parks and recreation, which you have no experience, 0. You have no parks and rec functions, yet you want to go out and buy a $6 million property for a dog park and maybe to move your office in. I find that objectionable.
Hello, my name's Tammy Boyd, and I have the same concern that I feel like we need to have the vote for raising our taxes for fire to help us get to the 4.0 before we vote on Sunnyside. I think that our money needs to go to the right place, and our fire department is much more important than a Parks and Rec. My kids went to Sunnyside. I've lived here for over 40 years, but I'm retired. I can't afford everything, and we have to make good choices. And the fire department would be my choice. We need paramedics. We need fire protection. We also need help with our water situation here so that we can fight fires if we have them. So I think it's a really important time and we need to get that on the ballot as soon as possible. We shouldn't be voting for a recreational thing before our fire department. We just can't afford everything here. The money isn't there. So please get it on the ballot soon. It should be, I agree with Jeff, it should be on the ballot by November. Thank you.
Richard Margetson. 22 years ago, when Rob was just a young man, wherever he is, there he is. This fire station was standalone. The firefighters were great. They were doing a great job. Financially, it was mismanaged. The community didn't like that. They wanted a change. The fire department brought forth a potential fire tax in 2004 of $125, $25 a benefit unit. We thought that was absurd, and that started discussions. Who owned Copy Spot that helped with that? Do you remember, Chuck? Steve Sawyer and myself and Rob's father, Matt, and Dan Turner met at Station on 1 going into San Luis. That started the process to pass the second fire tax, which was $40, $8 a benefit unit, and convert to CAL FIRE. We went back and forth. We were holding finance meetings and every 2 weeks. That's how controversial the issue was here in town. Some people, oh, we can't get rid of our current people, blah, blah, blah. But the financial impact was huge. By going with CAL FIRE and passing the second fire tax, we went with CAL FIRE, increased our level of service, second to none in the unincorporated area, and comparable to many of the cities, at $40, the first year at $40 instead of $125. This last year on your property tax bill, it was about between $111 and $112. That's still less than what was asked for back then. And by going with CAL FIRE back then, the savings allowed this community to pay for every fire piece of equipment for cash for 22 years. Every fire truck, every piece of equipment, 22 years. Phil Veneris, who to me is a hero for this community, 11 years. When budget time came up, he put a chart up on the wall that for the first 11 years, the average increase with CAL FIRE, that the CAL FIRE contract back then, and I know costs have gone up now, and there's a reason that they have, the average increase for that 11 years was 1% increase on that contract. CAL FIRE has served this community very well. And I know we all appreciate, can I just finish? I know we all appreciate them. We need to sign this 3-year interim, but we need to get to 4.0 staffing because that was part of the contract we made with the community to pass yes on AO5. Overwhelmingly, in the 80% of the community voted for that. With eventually getting to 4.0, we need to get to that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hi, Lynette Brooks. First, the personal stories about how great CAL FIRE is. Luckily, I have not needed them, but they've been in my neighborhood a few times, medical stuff, other emergencies, and they have gone above and beyond what I thought firefighters were supposed to do, including helping shop vac a flooded house. So I thought that was impressive. The other thing, though, that was not discussed with the Morro Bay thing is what happens to Montana de Oro if we don't have CAL FIRE here? I live close to Montana de Oro. I like knowing that CAL FIRE is here, being able to respond to emergencies out there, for one thing, and a fire if it happens. So I don't know where that was in the Morro Bay, but I strongly urge you to go with the CAL FIRE proposal. Thank you.
Hello, Emily Meggans, and I have to say thank you. So that's what I'm here for. Do I always get along with like whoever the chief is at the station? Not exactly. However, even if they're tough, they're usually typically always right. And this last year, as I kind of eased off some of my own advocacy and work around this, which I really think the CSD needs, but just hasn't, because of pandemics and everything else, hasn't been exactly easy to do. But one thing that's always been easy to do is get my station's attention. Not just because of the work with CAL FIRE, because they are literally my neighbor. And this last year, when I was out hiking with former Chief Torres, who served for a little bit on Fire Safe Council, representing Los Osos, and the things that I learned from him, being a retired chief from LA, were incredible. But I've spoken to the CSD before about it. The law enforcement kind of capacity, which we don't always hear about from CAL FIRE on a local level. I really have to tell you, I've really bothered this guy a lot when he was in his official capacity. Rob, I've definitely gone in and like tried to get his attention, whether it's college students lighting fires out in California state parks, or it is homeless camps with chimneys, right? And meth pipes in my backyard, which is the California Department of Fish and Wildlife land and territory. Every single chief, regardless of politics, has shown up. Law enforcement has shown up. The sheriff has shown up. CDFW officers have shown up. And most of our community doesn't realize what risk we're at and why we need a station in our community that's got big binoculars and really in shape guys that are carrying whatever it is that you make them carry up the hill, but they're in shape. I'm not, because I've had to go out there with them, but really, truly people that we can count on, be proud of, and they do want to be in our community, and we love you right back. And I want to just say thank you to the union, and really appreciate you so much.
Mark Bailey, 25-year Los Osos resident. I'm going to try to be professional and not be anyways, I have a dual mandate. Number one, I'm a Los Osos resident first and foremost. I'm a former reserve firefighter at Station 15 from 2007 and 2008. And I'm also a current CAL FIRE captain for CAL FIRE. And so I was hearing about all this that was going on and the takeover to the community with Morro Bay. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? Why would you do that? It makes no sense to me. But like I said, first and foremost, I'm a Los Osos resident, right? I got this shirt at Valley Liquor. I live right across the street from the bar. Like, that's me, right? But I put on a uniform like these guys do and go to work every day. Last time I was in a CSD meeting, we were fighting over the sewer in this place. So when you put the slides up about the money, I was like, okay, it's got to be about the money. But then when I saw the cost comparison like equal, I was like, okay, we got it. It's a slam dunk. Why would you change up on us and go with like the guppy over there? Who wants to go to Morro Bay? I don't. Sorry, I don't mean to be offensive. Like I said, I'm just going to keep it real. With CAL FIRE, if you don't contract with CAL FIRE as a current employee, but as a resident as well, like I'll show up to a fire on my own time. I know everybody at the station. I'll stop by. I pay attention to what's going on in town. You're getting rid of the biggest the most professional, the most resource available, The call the other night, the Cliff Rescue and MDO, I'm listening to that stuff go by. Morro Bay is not going to do that. You get all of these people, including myself, I'm watching to see what's going on. It makes no sense. There's 0 sense to be made to contract with Morro Bay. Like, no, they're over there. They got their thing. Good. Again, not to be disrespectful. They do a good job. They come over, we meet on South Bay, they come to our fires, we go to their fires. We go to their TCs, they come to our TCs. We work together. But I implore you, as the board, I would not go with that. That's just a bad idea. Thanks for letting me share.
Good evening. My name is Jose Torres. First of all, I know this is a very emotional, loaded meeting. Certainly, I don't want to step on any toes. I too was a firefighter for many years, 37 years, part of a union. I believe in collective bargaining because that's why I have what I have, you know. And so all the hard work of these men and women, I applaud them and thank them for the service to the community and our state, because they're the largest fire department in the state. But I do want to say something because I would be remiss if I didn't. And these things are food for thought for the community as well as the board. And I say this with all due respect to the people in the room. First of all, thank you guys for doing your due diligence and looking at the standard to cover, because that's your foundation for our community, right? Response times, manpower, speed and weight of the resources that are going to be coming into our community, right? So whatever way you go, whether it's with CAL FIRE or the other, if I'm going to pay taxes, I want to be able to get that response, right? I want to get that response. Because also, you have to look at the call loading. They're getting more and more calls every year. This document was February of 2024. You already had a 24%, 25% increase in calls, and it keeps going up every year. So you got to think about the future too, right? We think about the present, but we also got to think about the future. So with that in mind, response times, the standard of cover document lays it all out there. If I'm going to pay taxes, for me, it's fire prevention. You want to always mitigate the emergency before it happens, right? And so I implore the chief here, Lorenzo, we need more fire prevention in our community, okay? We got fuel beds here that are just waiting to go off. A lot of people say, oh, it's never happened here. Well, the Palisades said the same thing. Paradise said the same thing, right? So keep that in mind. Also, I wanted to ask a question. The dispatch, if you do go to Morro Bay, does the PSAP still stay with the sheriff? And where does that transfer to? Is there a delay? Because right now it goes to CAL FIRE ECC from the sheriffs. So well, you got to look at that too. Is it going to delay our response times? Evacuation plan. I live in Cabrillo Estates, very close to the park there. We still don't have an evacuation plan for this community. So these are things to think about. Again, whatever direction you go, we got some work to do. Thank you.
Okay, Laura, do we have any online?
If you're online, raise your hand. I do have 4 that were written in that I'm going to read real quick.
Okay, yep, please read those.
And there's none online. So Tara Willis from Los Osos writes, I would like to express my concerns over any decision by the CSD to contract with the Morro Bay Fire Department. I support continuing the Los Osos contract with CAL FIRE as it is today. I believe the community is better served under the existing agreement with CAL FIRE. Thank you. Marcia Page and Larry Bender write, we have lived in Los Osos since 1989. We currently live on Andre Avenue. We are unable to participate in tonight's meeting to discuss the proposals for fire and emergency services. We both believe that we have excellent coverage here for fire and emergency services under our current arrangement with CAL FIRE. Each time we have had to access support through emergency services, it has been timely and the staff has been exemplary. I can't imagine having a better experience in an emergency situation. We are stating our support to maintain the Los Osos contract with CAL FIRE for our local emergency and fire services. We do not support the proposal for the contract with Morro Bay. Thomas Anello says combining Morro Bay Fire Department with our current CAL FIRE is not a good idea at all, mainly due to the fact that Los Osos has many seniors that may require more immediate response than if we joined with Morro Bay Fire Department. This is my main concern. We need to rely on our CAL FIRE for immediate needs, and CAL FIRE is more prepared to handle wildfires in the event of a wildfire. Taxes are another concern, as well as individuals' cost increases and their home insurance. And then Mimi Whitney says, on the report to the board, the following statements were made. 1, the evaluation is driven by escalating staffing costs, increasing administrative overhead, and accounting discrepancies that have resulted in district overpayments. Question, what is the estimate of escalating staff costs and administrative overhead? And what is the dollar amount of that discrepancy in accounting that have resulted in overpayments? 2, current revenue sources, including Zone B property tax and the special fire tax, have not kept pace with increasing costs. A future special tax increase will likely be necessary to support the higher level. My question is, what is the estimate for a future special fire tax to support a higher service level? And why is this additional special fire tax not included as an option? Thank you. And that is all public comment.
Thank you. We have, excuse me, we have one in the boardroom.
Pat Renshaw. I just was thinking about the issue with South Bay Boulevard, that if we didn't have our own local fire department in a storm situation, and we did see it flood, and cars were flooded, people weren't able to get through. So to me, with the environmental changes that we're having and maybe possibly higher tides in the future, I think it's really important that we have our own fire department on this side of the bridge. So, and I just also wanted to say, if the fire tax is going to be on this ballot, we're going to be voting on the new fire tax. No. But if we are going to have a fire tax, I would like it to be separate, because I would like to be able to purchase the sunny side also. I mean, I'd like to do both of those things. I think it's really important. Please don't laugh. It's not. I think it's really important that we have as much open space as we can in our little town, because we don't have a park, we don't have a lot of things. But the more places that people have to be able to recreate and not have buildings there, because that would be another fire hazard. I mean, the more open space you have, the less things are going to burn. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ron, do you have, is there any answers to any of that? There's a couple of questions, but not too many.
Not too many. You know, the estimate for the future fire tax, what we really needed was the information that has just been provided by CAL FIRE and the city of Morro Bay to get a baseline on how to start the calculation for future.
And part of our goal, well, not our goal, we've been working towards a strategic plan, but it really needs to get put in place at this point, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right, I'll bring it back to the board for consideration.
You said
Ron, did you have any more answers to any of the questions? Okay.
I think they're asking about Montana de Oro and also how dispatch gets routed.
Well, I'm not sure about how dispatch gets routed.
Okay, that's an
what
answer.
I understand of the system. Montana de Oro would have to be a separate mutual aid, auto aid agreement if Morro Bay took over to understand that dynamic. Because, but you know, it's been an interesting sometimes contentious issue for us on how we respond out there. Again, when our crews leave, advanced life support leaves, and we are backfilled with basic life support. And you pay for that service, and we're responding to the state park, which is outside our boundary. But that's the agreement we have.
With some trade-offs.
Some trade-offs. There are trade-offs.
And the great part about this new direct contract is like I was talking about, that operational plan where we can really try to fine tune that. And I think that we have a great opportunity here to really engage in this board, really start understanding how this works.
There was a public comment talking about the 6 months startup time if we were to go to Morro Bay, and that's highlighted here as well. Can you expound on what that 6 months would look like? Well, if we were to go with Morro Bay, which frankly doesn't seem like we're going to, but if we were, what would those 6 months look like?
Well, it's really hard because what we got is a proposal. We didn't get a detailed contract, or, the only estimation we got was the cost of the personal protection equipment, which was expensive. We don't know what the overlap plan would actually be, except that there'd be recruitment, training, and purchase of equipment. So I'd be speculating.
How would we be covered during that 6 months?
Well, the way the contracts have been is you have to get, let's say we decide to go with Morro Bay, we'd have to give CAL FIRE a year notice. They would be obligated to fulfill that year of service to the community. Morro Bay would then have to initiate their processes to staff up and the equipment needed, training equipment.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
I'd like to reiterate toward that last comment that was made, that fire station in Los Osos is not going away. It's going to be there. So we always have a station on this side of the bridge. Just making sure that everybody realizes that. And also, I don't think anybody brought it up tonight, but the fire engines are paid for. We do not need to buy any new fire engines regardless of what happens. That's probably the only 2 points I want to make right now.
I'd give a lot of money to find out where that nonsense about the station closing started from. That's one of the things I guess this is all brought out, is the factors of social media are just uncontrollable, and so it can be so damaging because you spend so much time trying to pull back things that were just never a reality. Never, ever, ever. That one really bothers me.
Applaud all of you that come here to see for yourself.
Right. Well, and another thing that came out of this is to see the support from the community for the 4-0 staffing. That is important for us to see, that people actually want to see that as soon as possible. That was important. I'm glad we did that. I wish this hadn't become kind of a referendum on our thoughts about the station. That was never the intent. And while I'm on it, I guess what I have to say is it's the people of the community, really, and not CAL FIRE, that our first allegiance is to. As much as we love the service that we've been getting and want it to continue, if for some strange reason somebody dropped a proposal that gave us better value, we'd have to consider the people of Los Osos. But that doesn't seem to be the case. So
I want to thank Ron for giving this community the option to consider giving us a choice and pursuing that vigorously on behalf of the district and everyone in the community.
It was the time to do that. And options are good. True information is always good. Watch the social media.
Email us.
So
email Ron, email us.
Yeah.
I love getting emails from the community.
I just want to say too that these two contracts, it's not a slap in the face to CAL FIRE. It's always a good idea, I think, to have, like Chuck was saying, options. You want to compare, what we have and what we could possibly do. It's just a matter of a good business situation. You don't want to have just one option. You want to have two and you want to compare them and again, we will see what will be the most beneficial and it might, we will take the finances into consideration, but there's a lot of stuff you guys have brought up tonight that we will also take in consideration. So it's not, again, it's not saying, oh, we need to do something else. It's just smart buying basically is comparing.
Due diligence.
Exactly.
If it didn't happen 20 years ago, we might not have CAL FIRE now. It was due diligence 20 years ago. So if we don't have a lot of other thoughts here, I'm ready to make a motion.
I do want to, just forgive me for taking things
Sure.
longer. Thank specifically Paul Province and the union for showing up and voicing the support for the firefighters and the workers there. In relation to that, we are either going to replace the fire station, as in like rebuild it or refurbish it. And I really hope the union, if they haven't already, are in talks so we can make that fire station as good for the people who are working there as possible. Because we are proud of that station and we want to be as proud of it as possible. So thank you. Those are my final thoughts.
Good thoughts. Okay, with that, I make a motion that we direct staff to enter into an agreement with CAL FIRE using the current staffing model with 3 regular employees and a reserve firefighter.
I'll
I didn't
second.
see anything more technical in here.
Okay. I would just add that we get a review through council before we implement it. I don't know that, Craig, have you looked at any of these yet? Okay, I think that's a good idea though.
I thought that was just kind of an unstated assumption, I guess. We don't do anything without council being involved, at least I hope not.
I agree.
Yeah, okay.
According to-
Yeah, we'll add that.
Okay.
I second.
Motion in a second. Can we do a roll call for this one, please?
Yes, Director Sesenia,
Yes.
Director Womack,
Yes.
Director Cross,
Yes.
Director Hubbard,
Yes.
President Forkroy.
Yes, that passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody, for
your time.
Okay, we're gonna move on our agenda. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Paul, can I have a business card or something? I want to keep in contact with you.
I'll reach out to you.
Thank you so much.
Depending on me today, but I'll get you.
Awesome.
Good to see you, Paul.
See you again.
Okay.
Welcome to really.
Oh, excuse me. Everybody. Okay, I gotta use it.
We have a meeting to finish.
We still have to finish our meeting, firefighters.
Oh,
Plastic.
take it outside.
He's saying that we need to finish the meeting, so if you can please take discussions outside so we can keep
Well,
doing
let's
our
stick
business.
around, because we got some exciting things to discuss.
Thank you very much. We lost Chuck. Okay, our next order of business is public comment for items not on this agenda. If you have a public comment for nothing on this agenda, you can go to the podium and ask the question.
And if you're online, raise your hand.
Should we take a recess?
Oh, okay. Go talk to Chief Lorenzo right there. He's the man. No, the one in the back with the spiky hair. Yep, that's the right person to talk to. Just next to her, Chief Lorenzo.
He's in uniform.
Yep.
The doorway there.
Okay, back to public comment for items not on this agenda. Ron, can you hit the timer?
Yes, good evening. My name is Jeff Edwards, and if there was a referendum on your Parks and Rec tax, you just saw it right here. And I have to say, the pursuit of Sunnyside under your Parks and Rec power that doesn't really exist, it's officially become a boondoggle. a vanity project from this board of directors. You should be ashamed of yourselves. It's hard to believe. You've misrepresented the intent of acquiring Sunnyside. The intent is that you don't want anything else to be built on Sunnyside. In effect, you have teamed up with a handful of folks from LOCAC who have the same vision or lack thereof. Ironically, Sunnyside represents a catalyst for the development of our downtown. More jobs, services, but you can't get past that because your intent, again, just like LOCAC or those handful of folks, is to keep anything from being developed there. You would go ahead and buy Sunnyside without having a nickel to spend to make improvements. Sunnyside is in worse condition than Station 15 as a practical matter. The buildings on Sunnyside, toxic substances, lead-based paint. You're asking the taxpayers to do your dirty work. Buy Sunnyside so it can't be developed. Shame on you. You better hope this B26 fails. You better hope, because if it passes, then you're in real trouble. You're in real financial trouble because you're going to end up with a pig in a poke and no money to do anything. And in the meantime, the special fire tax goes unapproved. 4.0 staffing, new fire station. That's your priority. You ought to go there.
There are no
Okay.
comments online.
Okay, moving on. Administrative committee reports. We have the GM report.
I just put one item on this month's. It's we've talked about the countywide water action team. It's a coordinated effort by most all the water purveyors in the county to look at regional solutions for water, like I said, countywide. The district, myself, have been participating in that committee for quite a while. Our interest is in getting a connection to the outside world with a pipe over to the State Water Project and be able to participate in any regional efforts that can help supply the community water, not only now, but well into the future with all the challenges we are already seeing with climate change and changing weather patterns. Part of that subgroup from that countywide water action team is a desal group. We're looking at desalination. It's a long-term plan that is going to stretch out probably 20, 30, possibly 40 years. Again, this is the type of planning you need to look at future projects to make them actually happen. I've been participating on that because, again, I know state water isn't the most reliable source, and it's only going to become less reliable in the future, and that we should be part of any solution for that future plan outside of the near future. With that, there's more information going to be coming out. I wanted to promote, there's a meeting over at Morro Bay Community Center on April 20th at 6 p.m. I'll be participating in that meeting. It'll be the county's consulting crew that has been working on the alternatives analysis. And so there'll be lots of information on the plan, where they are in their evaluation of sites, and how that could work into a future water supply for the whole region. I'd encourage people to come out and participate if they can. And if you have any questions, please contact me.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to the LOCAC report. Did anybody go to LOCAC?
That was me.
Okay.
Yeah, I attended the LOCAC meeting this last Thursday. Let me see, Deborah Howe announced the Earth Day celebration at Sunnyside School on April 25th. They're having a big old festival there. If you need details, I would say get on the LOCAC site and see what that's all about. There was a written report from Bruce Gibson, basically just talked about the bridge. They're suspending work on that because of bird nesting season, and usually around April 15th. I reported that what we were doing here, I told them about the proposals from both CAL FIRE and the City of Morro Bay Fire for consideration for the next contract. The biggest highlight of the meeting was a presentation by RRM Design Group talking about the construction that's going to be happening at the Baywood School. They're basically going to be flipping the footprint over there, where now where the fields are, they're going to be where the buildings are, and vice versa. The buildings are going to be where the fields are. They're going to border 11th Street. One of the things that they were very proud of was the fact that they have put the design where they are not going to need any steps. It's going to be an all access design with just concrete paths, but no steps. So, wheelchair accessible everywhere on campus. Let me see, the estimated completion date, it was probably going to be about 2 to 3 years. So that's going to be one area park-wise that will not be available for a while, which is something people have to be considered.
What was the start date for that?
The start date is probably going to be beginning of next year. They got they have the proposals in there. They say it's going to take up to 6 months to get the proposals all finalized and everything. And then, the construction should start early next year. One thing that people were concerned about was the flooding issues that they've had on 11th Street, and if how the construction and the design are going to address that. It looked like RRM had a good design there for a pipe going under the concrete sidewalk on 11th Street to take care of the possible flooding aspect. And then there was another concern about the entryway or drop-off area, I should say, is going to be now on the corner of El Moro and 11th, and there's concern about that being such a high traffic area, and there could be possible problems there, but I guess that is still being talked about. Julie Tacker had a very emotional concern about the artwork that is compiled over the years at Baywood, and she wanted to make sure that there was some consideration that can save as much as it is possibly can during the construction. And I think there's going to be some sort of committee formed to take a look at that to see if what can be done as far as preserving all that artwork from all the kids from all these years at Baywood. There was also a presentation by Catherine Corson, who introduced the Parks for Los Osos Rec Group. They were here at our last meeting. They're basically concerned about trying to implement the expansion of the park right now, the Los Osos City Park, that has been in the works for, I guess, 20 some odd years, and still is on the bottom of the list as far as the county goes. And they're going to be trying to get that moved along as best they can. And also, they're also going to be looking at Sunnyside too, as hopefully a new park. Other announcement that were made where they're going to have a bike rodeo day on May 2nd at Sunnyside and a roll to school day on May 6th. Basically, those are two events that were established to get the kids to ride their bikes to the schools and for because May is bike month, so that was announced. And LoCac will be holding their elections on April 25th during that Earth Day celebration. They're still looking for additional member to join joins Jim Salio in District 2. Not really sure where District 2 is because their districts do not align with ours. So I have no idea, but they are looking for somebody else to possibly join them there. And meeting was adjourned at 8:20.
District 2 was my district, so it's around Baywood.
Yeah, well, like I'm saying though, their districts, they only have 4 districts where we have 5.
Yeah, I was on LoCac, so.
Okay, so you know, oh, so you know
I'm just trying
exactly.
to tell you,
Okay.
like, it's
I was
that area of town.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, they're looking for somebody.
Thanks, Rich. Okay, the Parks and Rec committee, yeah, we met in March, and basically we had a Sunnyside update where things are at, which was real similar to what we had talked about in the fall. Basically that the Citizens Initiative passed, and it's going to a vote of the citizens to be passed or not passed. We have another Parks and Rec committee meeting coming up, May, I believe it's 17th, 18th, third Tuesday. And, you know, what we're going to be looking at there is what this actual timeline could look like, and more dollars and cents of it, actually getting into some anticipated budgets. And that way that committee has something to go on as far as what does the whole picture look like. So that's what we're going to be doing in May. All right, utilities.
We met and basically went over our capital improvement program. The SCADA project is just about done. We talked about in 10th Street, grinding along on that well project, the tank project. I don't remember much besides capital improvement program that we talked about.
Yeah, it's mainly capital. As you know, we have budget, next fiscal year's budget prep going on, and we're trying to hone in on the capital program, which is the most expensive piece of our Fund 500.
Okay, thank you. Finance?
So the committee recommended we approve the warrants and receive and file the financials, and they recommended we stay with the same auditor, who will give us a different lead because we've had them for 5 years. So you want a set of fresh eyes, but I think they recommended, or staff recommended, staying with the same firm. They've been doing a good job, and it might be when you change firms, it's kind of a big shakeup. And if we're getting a new GM, it might be better to save that shakeup for future years. So hopefully, I mean, we also had Moss Levy was a strong contender. We've used them before, and we had like someone new that was kind of in the ballpark too, that would have been good, but that is what the committee recommended.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Emergency services? I don't think we had that, did we? No. BMC, did you have a meeting?
We did some budget adjustments, end of year kind of stuff. Looked at the cover letter that was put along with the purveyor's letter to the county regarding the 0% growth rate for this year and the county's response. We sent that to the Coastal Commission just to make sure that they had it from us and not just a copy from the county. It seems to me that when you receive correspondence directly from an agency, you're more likely to read it. If you're getting copied by a third party and there's no agenda item in front of you, you tend to overlook things. And I just want to make sure that Coastal understands that there's a difference of opinion between the county and the water purveyors about the future. And yeah, I think that was about it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, I'm going to ask, does anybody want to pull any consent agenda items tonight?
I don't want to pull one, but if I may highlight one for a moment.
Sure.
All right, I just wanted to highlight item H on the consent agenda. It has been a frequent question to this district of what will happen to the Waldorf School if we were to acquire the Sunnyside property. And item H on the agenda is a memorandum of understanding between us and the Waldorf School saying that we would like to keep them there. I just wanted to highlight that since it was a frequent question to the district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll take public comment for items on the administrative committee reports and the consent agenda.
If you're online, raise your hand, and in the boardroom, come to the podium.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jeff Edwards, and the first thing I wanted to discuss is the Baywood Park or Baywood Elementary School reconstruction. For those that did sit in on the LOCAC meeting, they're proposing to demolish the entire campus. It's a $58 million project. I was quite surprised. I'm not sure what's driving this multi-phase project, but I believe that is in part what it is. It's multi-phased. And so they have to deal with students. Frankly, they talked about moving the students or allowing the students to use Sunnyside for recess. They ought to just move the students to Sunnyside permanently until the remodel's done. They do have pressing concerns there, HVA systems, and other infrastructure in the school does need to be upgraded, but there's massive grading. They're going to put curb gutter and sidewalk all along 11th Street, which I'm not sure that's needed. And so it's a big project and it requires a coastal permit. So I don't think they're going to be getting started by the end of the year necessarily. Shifting gears to item 11H, which was referenced. This is a memorandum of understanding with the Waldorf School. Why? You're 2 months from having a decision on the ballot, which likely will be a failure. Why would you spend legal time on a memorandum of understanding? In fact, you've been paying legal fees on Sunnyside for over a year and run up a total of over $25,000, including the most recent charge of $4,500 for last month. This is combined with approximately $50,000 you've paid the Wallace Group to tell you that you need $5,000 to $10,000 worth of improvements at Sunnyside that you've completely disregarded. Then there is the FM3 research survey that you used to pay $26,500 for to get a number to put on the ballot that you thought the voters would go for. So that survey was useless, was made to order. Over $100,000 have been spent on this quixotic attempt to buy Sunnyside. I don't know why.
Okay, any other public comment?
Yes, I have one online. Julie, you just have to unmute yourself.
Good evening. It is Julie Tacker, and I'll just make one correction for Jeff. He misspoke in saying that the Wallace Group's work on Sunnyside, he said $10,000 to $15,000 of improvements. He meant $10 to $15 million to make the site be all the things you want it to be. So just want to clear that up. I did want to speak to the Baywood Elementary remodel similarly to Mr. Edwards. But I want to say that take a look at the LOCAC meeting and watch how the LOCAC members softballed their questions. Unfortunately, I had not prepared ahead of time and just happened to be on the Zoom call and listening, and was surprised when I went back that the link to the project paperwork, the application, was not live. So you couldn't get to the project application if you were prepared ahead of time. I've since gone to the county's website and found the project. There will be 44 trees removed, only 13 saved. And as one of the missions of LOCAC, I would have thought that someone would have asked about the tree removal. There will be 7,000 cubic yards of cut, 14,000 cubic yards of fill, which means 7,000 cubic yards or 500 truckloads of dirt needs to be brought in to be able to level that site so that they don't have stairs, is what Rich was pointing out, that they want to somewhat level the site, which is extremely costly and disruptive to the neighborhood. To build one school on the east side and tear down the west side and have the children there the whole time is disruptive to the learning. So why would that be acceptable to the parents and to the community? And of course, a $59 million project, that money is coming out of your and my property tax. It's about $50 per $100,000 of assessed value to each of us. So say your house is assessed at $500,000. You're paying $50 per 100,000. So $250 a year towards the cost of this project. You have a say in how it is built, and it still has to go to Planning Commission, Board of Supervisors, Coastal Commission, and the state architect. So it's not coming next year. And my last point, and
You're out of time, actually.
oh, I'm sorry. Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
There's no further public comment online.
Okay, we're back to the boardroom.
Richard Margetson, at finance, the concentration for me that night was the CAL FIRE issue, or the contract issue. So this got by me and I want to ask it tonight. Water revenue. We've been having this discussion about irrigation water sales and recycled water. I'd like to know what the reason for the anomaly this month is, Ron. Irrigation water sales were $798 and recycled water was only $1,471. I don't think the 3 days of February being shorter than other months made up that difference. But and then a question related to the earlier item tonight and the budget for fire coming up. This contract, will it go in, will those numbers go into effect starting the fiscal year? Or will it be a carryover from the original date of the original contract with CAL FIRE, which wasn't the start of the fiscal year? Just a question.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, no further public comment. You don't have answers to those right now. You'll get back to them.
Don't have the numbers in front of me or memorized, so I'll have to look at those. I know we've had trouble. I think it goes back to our projections, and I know Richard, you're talking about just the number seems low, so we'll look into that. Given the action tonight, we'll execute the CAL FIRE contract for next fiscal year starting July 1, is my take on it. We'll have Craig, District Council, take a look at the agreement, but it's pretty straightforward in terms of what it outlines and what it provides. And it is a state standard contract, so there's not much negotiation.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I move that we receive and file the committee and administrative reports and approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Believe I can just say all those in favor.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, I do have a few things for future agenda items that I'd like to make sure we get into the minutes of this meeting and noted for future meetings. One is I'd like us to have a special meeting at some point here in the near term, and I think I mean in the next 2 months, to have a SCADA presentation tour / demonstration for the board. I'd like us to spend some time at the water yard and really understand how that investment's being used and ways that it can be used for optimization. The other thing I want to put out there is I'd like staff to prepare a presentation on the Los Osos groundwater basin that can be used for members of this board and staff to interact with the Board of Supervisors. And what I mean by that is we've talked a little that obviously District 2 is very important to us, but we also need that our message to at least 2 others to pass anything. And that's something as a president that I want to make sure that we go in that direction and the other supervisors are hearing from us in a really positive way with a clean type message. The third thing I want to get agendized out there is I'd like a report from council on the ability for us to de-district. It's something that we did a long time ago, and my understanding is that things have changed. So maybe it's a very short report that things haven't changed, but I'd like information in and around, are we able to de-district the CSD? And we're coming into a spot where there's multiple of us up for election. We're in small districts. The last time that we did this, there wasn't very much interest. And I strongly believe that if the whole community were able to throw in, there might be more interest.
Okay, so you're talking about election district.
Yeah. Yes.
At large.
So not de-district, our election districts. Sorry, I definitely should have. It made perfect sense to me. I'm glad you asked that question. Yes. I mean, our little election districts that we made. So those 3 things I think are important that we move forward. With that, any closing board comments?
Oh, I like your agenda items.
And we did discuss the second one, a little traveling presentation to visit the Board of Soups at the last basin management meeting. I think we did.
It was definitely brought up, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get that and get going on it. Okay, with that, I am continuing this meeting to April the 8th, Wednesday, April 8th at 4:30 p.m. And with that, we'll see you then.